What if I told you that nearly 1 in 5 new car buyers is now signing up for a monthly payment of $1,000 or more? Not for a luxury badge most of the time, just for an everyday SUV or truck with the normal options we've all gotten used to. It's happening at record pace, and it's not just a flex, it's a warning sign that a lot of budgets are being stretched to the limit. Let's break it down. The story isn't just that cars got more expensive, it's that the way people pay for them has shifted. The average amount people actually borrow for a new vehicle, after whatever down payment they manage, recently hit a record high. At the same time, more buyers are opting for 84-month loans. That's 7 years of the same car, same payment, and more interest. On top of that, the era of cheap money is over. Average interest rates on new car loans are hovering around the high 6% to low 7% range. And those flashy 0% offers that used to be on every commercial have mostly disappeared. Now remember, a longer loan doesn't make the car cheaper. It just makes the monthly number look friendlier. Over 7 years at today's rates, the total you pay can balloon. And that's before taxes, dealer fees, add-ons like gap insurance and extended warranties, or the insurance premiums that tend to spike with pricier vehicles. This isn't only a high-income problem. Those $1,000 plus payments are popping up across the market because the averages have shifted for everyone. Bigger loans, longer terms, higher rates, smaller down payments. When the average down payment falls and the amount financed rises, people land underwater faster, owing more than the car is worth. How did we get here? A few things collided. First, vehicles themselves have changed. The standard car is bigger, safer, more tech-heavy, and more comfortable than it was a decade ago. Features that used to be luxury, advanced driver assistance, huge touchscreens, premium audio, heated everything, are now expected. And they're not free. Automakers also nudged model lineups toward higher trims and more profitable trucks and SUVs. Prices went up and stayed up. Second, financing costs. For years, low rates masked the true cost of vehicles. Now that rates have climbed, the financing itself is a major expense. Even if the sticker price hasn't jumped in the last 6 months, the cost to borrow has, so the total paid is higher. Third, the psychology. A lot of people shop by monthly payment, not total cost. Dealers know this. Stretch a loan to 84 months and the payment looks manageable. Roll in taxes and fees. Add gap coverage. Maybe fold in a few thousand of negative equity from the last car. Suddenly, a normal midsize SUV creeps toward 4 figures a month. That's how a reasonable sounding deal becomes a budget anchor. Let's put some simple math on it. Finance $49,000 at a rate in the low 7% range for 84 months, and the base payment often lands in the mid-700s before taxes and extras. Add typical fees, insurance implications, and a few common add-ons, and you're stepping toward 4 digits, especially with trucks and higher trim SUVs. That's why payments over $1,000 aren't rare anymore. And about those 84-month loans, this is the part people feel later. Vehicles lose value most quickly in the early years. When you take a long loan, you pay the balance down more slowly while the car depreciates faster up front. If you had negative equity on the trade-in and rolled it into the new loan, you're starting behind. 2 years in, something changes. Job move, baby on the way, a tempting new model, and you want out. But you still owe more than the car's worth. That's the loop. Roll the old loan into the new one, stretch the term, keep the monthly okay. Repeat. So why do people still do it? Normalization. When neighbors and coworkers all have new rides and your feed is full of delivery day photos, it feels like what everyone does. And when the salesperson says, we can get it to $799 a month, it sounds achievable, even if the only way to get there is 7 years of payments. Identity and comfort. Trucks and SUVs are sold as lifestyle, capable, safe, family-ready. And to be fair, they are comfortable and useful. But the price tag is real, and the loan term doesn't care how nice the features are. Hidden math. Monthly payments are slippery. A $750 base number turns into $950 with add-ons and taxes. Throw in insurance, that's 100 to 200 more per month than a cheaper car, and you're in mortgage-adjacent territory. But here's the bigger point, the opportunity cost. If someone sends $1,000 to a lender every month for 7 years, that's $84,000 of cash flow before you even add interest. If even part of that money were invested monthly over 10 or 20 years at reasonable returns, it could snowball into a substantial nest egg. High car payments crowd out wealth building, retirement contributions, emergency funds, paying off higher interest debt, or saving for a home. Insurance is the stealth expense here. Newer, pricier vehicles cost more to repair and replace, and that shows up in premiums. The difference between insuring a $55,000 SUV and a modest used sedan can be hundreds per month in some markets. It's not just the car payment, it's the ecosystem of costs that come with it. Let's talk negative equity in plain language. If you owe $20,000 on your current car and it's only worth $15,000, that $5,000 doesn't disappear when you trade it. It gets added to your new loan. So instead of financing $49,000, you're financing $54,000. That bigger balance on a long loan at today's rates, that's how budgets get tight and stay tight. Is there a better way? Yes, even with rates where they are. Consider a reliable used car with a shorter term. Smaller principal means less interest expense. Keep the payment low enough that it feels small on day one, not barely doable if nothing goes wrong. If buying new, skip the $2,000 wheels and the package of features that looked cool in the showroom but won't change your daily life. Lower trim, shorter term, higher down payment if possible. Say no to add-ons you don't need at the finance desk. Avoid rolling over debt. If you're upside down, it can be better to wait, pay down the balance, or sell private party to shrink the gap rather than inflating the next loan. A quick reality check about rates: they may ease over time, but planning a purchase around future rate cuts is risky. Today's payment is the one that has to work. If rates drop meaningfully later, refinancing can be an option, but only if your loan to value and credit qualify, and only if fees don't erase the benefit. There's also the safety argument. Wanting a safe, spacious vehicle is reasonable. The trick is to match the payment to the paycheck. There are plenty of safe models in lower trims that won't twist a budget into knots. A $600 payment for 60 months on a sensible vehicle often beats a $1,000 payment for 84 months on something bigger and flashier. Same driveway, very different future. And here's a mindset shift that helps. Stop shopping the monthly. Start shopping the total. Ask for the out-the-door price, with taxes and fees, the APR, the total interest paid, and the total of payments over the life of the loan. Compare 60, 72, and 84-month totals side by side. When you see how much more you pay for that long term, it gets easier to choose the smaller, saner option. Where is this all heading? If prices stay high and rates remain sticky, more buyers will either downsize their expectations or accept longer terms. The data suggests a lot of people are choosing longer terms, and that's going to create more negative equity later, especially when life changes require a different vehicle before the loan is halfway done. The better strategy is to pick a car that comfortably fits today's budget and tomorrow's uncertainty. Let's land part 1 with a simple rule of thumb. Aim for a payment that feels small from day one. Not manageable if everything goes perfectly, but small. If the only way to make the number work is an 84-month term, it probably doesn't work. Cars are tools, not trophies. Make the numbers fit the life, not the other way around. In part 2, we'll get tactical, how to negotiate without getting trapped by the monthly, what to know about APR shopping and junk fees, when refinancing actually makes sense, whether leasing is a smarter bridge right now, and a realistic plan to keep transportation at a healthy slice of take-home pay. For now, here are the key takeaways to keep top of mind. Long loans make payments look smaller, but make cars far more expensive. High rates and fewer 0% offers mean financing is costly again. Negative equity is quicksand. Don't roll yesterday's debt into today's deal if you can avoid it. The difference between a fancy payment and a sensible one invested over time is the gap between stress and stability. Part 2 is coming next. First, a quick recap of where we are. Payments of $1,000 plus have become surprisingly common. Loans are longer than ever. Interest rates are still elevated. And negative equity, the gap between what a car is worth and what's owed, keeps trapping people in a cycle of trading early and rolling yesterday's debt into today's deal. Part 1 showed why this is happening. Part 2 is about the moves that keep someone out of the quicksand. Start with the shopping strategy. The anchor of the whole process is simple. Stop shopping the monthly, start shopping the out the door. Out the door means everything. Price, taxes, registration, doc fees, no surprises. Ask dealers for a written out-the-door number before talking payments. When the final number is nailed down, only then decide how to pay for it. This keeps the dealership from shrinking the upfront number while quietly padding the back end with interest or extras. Next, isolate the variables. Price and financing are two separate fights. Treat them that way. Negotiate the vehicle price first. Only after that's settled, discuss financing and compare it to outside options. Credit unions often post very competitive rates. A pre-approval gives leverage. Can you beat this rate? If the dealer can, great. If not, the pre-approval becomes the default. Now remember, the term is where budgets go sideways. A 60-month loan generally keeps total interest much lower than 72 or 84 months. If the only way a deal fits is at 84 months, that's a red flag. A useful stress test: would this payment still feel comfortable if insurance rose, or if a surprise bill hit next month? If not, step down in trim or price. About add-ons at the finance desk. This is where good deals get heavy. Gap coverage can be worthwhile if the loan-to-value is high, especially with small down payments. But it doesn't have to be purchased from the dealer. Compare insurance company or lender options. Extended warranties can make sense on certain brands, or if someone plans to keep the car well past the factory coverage, but only at the right price, and only after reading what's actually covered. Say no to anything unclear. You can always add coverage later. You can't easily undo it once it's baked into the loan. Let's talk negative equity in practice. If a current loan is underwater, there are 4 smarter paths than rolling it into the next car. Wait and pay down the balance until the equity gap closes. Make targeted extra principal payments for a few months to get ahead. Sell private party to fetch a higher price than a trade-in. Downsize into a cheaper car that can be paid off faster. Rolling a $4,000 shortfall into a new 7-year loan is like tying ankle weights before a swim. It solves the monthly now, but makes the next few years harder. What about leasing? Does it help right now? Leasing can be a reasonable bridge if someone needs a reliable car with a lower payment and doesn't drive high miles. The benefits, often smaller payments and the ability to hand back the keys before repair costs pile up. The trade-offs, mileage limits, wear and tear charges, and no ownership at the end unless it's bought out. If the plan is to keep a car for a long time, buying and holding typically wins. If flexibility and lower short-term payments matter, leasing can make sense. Just be ruthless about the actual math and fees. Refinancing gets a lot of buzz. When does it really help? 2 conditions: rates materially drop or credit score improves, and the car's value supports it. If someone bought at a high APR and the market or their credit improves a year later, refinancing into a shorter remaining term can trim total interest. Watch out for fees and avoid stretching the clock again. A refinance that re-extends the term often gives a lower monthly while stealthily increasing the total CAD. Let's get into negotiating. Calm, simple, effective. The tone matters more than the script. Be friendly, be clear, and be willing to walk. A few lines that help. I'm shopping the out-the-door price across a few dealers. What's your best number in writing? Please itemize all fees so I can compare apples to apples. I have a pre-approval at X%. If you can beat it, I'm happy to finance here. I'm aiming for a 60-month term within this total budget. Which trims fit that? Let's keep the trade separate. What's your out-the-door price without the trade, And what's your firm trade offer? Dealers do this all day. No pressure to match their pace. Take the written numbers home. Sleep on it. If a deal only looks good under showroom lights, it's not good enough. Insurance is the stealth budget buster, so bring it into the decision early. Before signing, get quotes on the exact VIN, or at least the model and trim. Higher trims with sensors, panoramic roofs, and pricey wheels often cost more to insure and repair. If insurance makes the total monthly bite too big, step down in trim or switch models. A $600 car payment with $250 insurance beats a $480 payment with $400 insurance. If buying used, focus on reliability and known costs. Check maintenance records. Pay for a pre-purchase inspection from an independent mechanic. It's cheaper than one surprise repair. Look at tire size and replacement costs. Giant wheels can mean giant bills. Avoid cars with complicated air suspensions or niche tech unless fully prepared for maintenance. A boring car that starts every morning is a secret weapon for building wealth. Down payments, bigger is better, but not at the expense of an emergency fund. A healthy starter cushion matters more than squeezing every dollar into the car. A good balance is keeping 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in cash and then optimizing the down payment. If the down payment would wipe out the safety net, lower the vehicle price instead. What if someone's already in a too big vehicle? No shame, no lectures, just options. Get a real market value for the vehicle and the payoff amount. If equity is positive, consider selling or trading into something smaller and pocketing the difference. If equity is negative, run the math on how many months of extra principal payments it would take to close the gap. Set a clear timeline. Shop insurance aggressively. Rates can vary wildly between companies. Cut non-essential subscriptions for 3 to 6 months and attack the balance. Temporary sacrifices beat long-term strain. Here's a simple budgeting framework that actually works. Try to keep total transportation costs, payment, insurance, fuel, routine maintenance under a comfortable slice of take-home pay. For many households, staying under 15% keeps the rest of life funded. If a car pushes that number to 20% plus before maintenance and surprises, it's too tight. Now, a note on timing and patience. Car deals reward patience, not just during the negotiation, but in the model year cycle. End of month or end of quarter can help. So can waiting for new model years to hit when outgoing inventory gets discounted. If the right vehicle isn't priced right, wait. It's better to drive a paid-off, unexciting car for 6 more months than to rush into 7 years of strain. Let's also talk psychology, because the showroom is designed to make people say yes. The test drive is emotional. The paperwork is long. The payment pitch is smooth. The best counter is a plan written down ahead of time. Target out-the-door price range. Maximum monthly that's truly comfortable at 60 months. Non-negotiables, safety features versus nice-to-haves, big wheels, premium audio, a pre-approval APR to beat, a hard no list for add-ons. This turns a complicated purchase into a checklist, and checklists are quiet superpowers. Looking forward, the smartest car strategy is the one that leaves options open. Lower payments, shorter terms, and modest insurance costs mean more room for everything else: investing, home ownership, travel, career changes. The vehicle should carry people where they want to go, financially as well as literally. Let's wrap with a quick, practical playbook. Price first, then financing. Get the out-the-door number in writing before discussing the loan. Keep terms tight. Aim for 60 months. If 72 is necessary, the price might be too high. Avoid 84 unless the math is still comfortable and the total interest is acceptable. Protect flexibility. Don't roll negative equity. Keep an emergency fund. Choose trims that don't spike insurance. Be add-on aware. Gap can be smart in some cases. Shop it. Extended warranties only if priced right and aligned with how long the car will be kept. Think total cost, not monthly. Bring insurance and maintenance into the decision upfront. Use time as leverage. Sleep on offers. Compare multiple dealers. Let them compete. The big idea doesn't change. Cars are tools, not trophies. A great car deal feels boring because nothing about it strains the rest of life. That's the real flex. Quietly owning a car that fits, freeing up cash to build a future far more satisfying than heated massaging seats. If part 1 was the wake-up call, part 2 is the roadmap. Keep the payments small, the term short, the insurance reasonable, and the emergency fund intact. Do that, and the driveway won't be a financial trap. It'll just be the place a solid, affordable car lives while bigger goals take center stage.